Hey, welcome to Sports and Politics with T. I'm your host, Tanya, and tonight we have made it back to Thursday. It is going to be the last 2 days of May. That's right. And guess what? Starting Sunday, we will be in June. Can you believe this, guys? Already. Anyway, I just wanted to say again, this week we're going to cover a lot of topics. Tonight, we're going to talk about how African Americans feel about even just being in this country. We have a lot of people that really, they just want to move altogether. They don't even want to be here anymore. That's how bad it's getting. We're also going to take a look at this guy. His name is David Pakman, who has a liberal station on YouTube. And he also is thinking about leaving the country as well. You know, I think people right now, black and white, and really probably other cultures, are looking at other options. People say America is the best country in the world. Well, I feel like right now, with everything what's going on in the economy, some people are not looking at it that way anymore. The people overseas they're not really liking us anymore. Donald Trump is turning on the allies all of a sudden with these tariffs. So, it's not good, and it's not looking good for America. And then also we're going to tackle at the end what Trump supporters are thinking right now, because sometimes you want to, give it some time. And I told myself I'm going to give it probably about 5 or 6 months. And then we're going to revisit to see what people are thinking as far as how they think he's doing, as far as what he's been doing so far in the White House. All right. So let's go ahead and get into tonight, the first topic at hand. And we're going to listen to this young lady. And she's going to tell you why she's feeling like, you know what? I think it's just time to go. So it's time to leave America altogether. I got a big house. I got all the money. And guess what? It's not even worth it. All right. But let's just listen in. And then we're going to break this video down once it's over.
When it comes to the American dream, I feel that I lived it. And it's literally the reason that I left. We were in our 3-story townhome. We had the trucks. I was in my big girl corporate 6-figure job. We had the things. And it wasn't a dream. It was more of like a fuzz, really.
32-year-old Bianca Lynch is a full-time digital nomad, and while she's always known travel would be a part of her life, after the results of the 2024 election, she says she's making it permanent.
It's very, very hard for us to see ourselves coming back and being in this country, having to be around that many people who felt that is someone who needs to be in power.
She's not alone in looking to leave the country because of the results of the election.
Here are some of the easiest ways to leave the country as an American.
I'm going to share some of the easiest visas that you can get that'll probably get you out of the country in the next year.
I'm moving again. Yay!
Google searches for digital nomad visas, how to move to Canada, and best countries to move to all peaked the day after the election.
I would say that right now, since the election, the biggest trend is people looking for a plan B, no pun intended, but they're looking for a place where they can go if a certain line in the sand is crossed.
Jen Barnett and her husband moved to Mexico from Birmingham, Alabama after the 2016 election. In 2022, they founded Expatsy to help fellow Americans travel and move abroad.
Our site really first took off when Roe versus Wade was overturned, and that's when I turned in my notice of my job and realized it could be more than a weekend project.
Jen says her site saw 10 months worth of traffic in the 2 weeks after the election, and the top reasons people say they want to leave has changed, with 72% of visitors to their website citing the U.S. being too conservative as the reason they want to move, which she says is a 30% increase from before the election.
What would you say your life was like living under the first Trump presidency?
It felt like that administration gave a lot of people the permission to essentially say and do whatever they wanted. I was always aware that I was a Black woman because that's the life of being a Black woman in the U.S., but I was hyper aware during that time. I always tell people there has not been one country I've ever been to where I didn't feel safe because I was Black outside of the United States.
Bianca grew up in North Carolina. 5 years ago, she took an extended trip abroad.
I did 4 countries in 4 months. I did Chile, Peru, Colombia, and Mexico. I was in awe, and I honestly was transformed as a person.
She came back to the US for a couple of years, got married, and decided to start traveling again, quitting her corporate 9-to-5 lifestyle to share her digital nomad life to her over 21,000 followers.
That we've been working on.
You know, some people who maybe don't agree with the president-elect saying, now is not the time to give up. It's time to invest. It's time to stay here. It's time to focus on our community. With you leaving, someone with that mindset might be like, are you giving up?
No, that's fair. I mean, I would honestly just ask the question, is it worth it to you to fight the fight? Do you have that fight in you? Because honestly, I don't have it. Instead of trying to change an entire country, when I can simply remove myself and go somewhere else and by default be happier, I'm choosing peace.
Bianca just spent a few months in Colombia with her husband Mel, and now is back home with her sister Felicia, spending part of the holidays with family before packing up again and traveling to South Africa.
It was tradition, Christmas music, and putting up the tree.
Dang, you might have to be like it was tradition. I'm here now.
I mean, it still is. That's why I said we was going to do it before you left again. So we could do it together. It's not as fun by myself.
All good.
So you said you will not be coming back to the U.S. since Trump won the last election. Have you told your family this?
Yes and no. I know that our family knows that we plan on being abroad for a while. I don't think they understand that we don't plan on living permanently in the U.S. again. We're just sort of passive-aggressively dropping these hints.
Why is that?
I don't know how they will take it. We don't want to hurt anyone. This is one reason why I'm constantly encouraging people to travel, to get out of this misconception of travel is dangerous and the United States is the safest country in the world, because people worry. These people are asking me questions when I'm live in Vietnam, like, are you safe? Are you safe in Colombia? And I'm like, are y'all safe?
Colombia does have one of the highest rates of firearm homicides, along with several other North and South American countries and territories. But among high-income countries with populations over 10 million, the U.S. is number 1 for gun violence.
What would you say are some of the push factors that are making you want to leave?
The main things that were really pushing us to leave, outside of politics, outside of the gun violence, definitely things like the food. As I started learning more about food and nutrition, even like the nutrition labels and all the things that they put into our food, I was like, it makes so much sense why all these people, and especially people who look like me, are dying from diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure. And especially speaking like as someone who like lost their dad to that recently, I was like, this is crazy.
According to the CDC, Black Americans have the second lowest life expectancy at birth of all racial and ethnic groups in the United States. Heart disease, stroke, and diabetes disproportionately impact those in the Black community in the U.S. And Black Americans have some of the highest rates of high blood pressure in the world. Some of this can be tied to the number of food deserts and ultra-processed food.
Let me just stop right there. And that's another thing, with being in America. Listen, I understand exactly what this lady is saying. And, she's looking at it, is it even worth fighting? Is it, or should you just remove yourself and just go somewhere completely different and just be happy, because there are other countries, there's other cities that you could live in. And I guess she's like, why not expand your mind into saying, you know what? America's not the only place I can be, so I totally get what she's saying, because you do get to a point where you feel like, nothing is going to change if we just keep doing the same thing that we're doing right now. In fact, things are just getting worse and worse every day. I totally get what she's saying. And now, like, this is highlighting some things too, as far as African American people, we do suffer from the most high blood pressure and diabetes and all these illnesses that are caused from stress and bad diet. But not only that, the foods that they have in America compared to other countries are a lot more harmful than, let's say, you go to Paris or Germany or just Brazil or somewhere like that, where the foods are a lot more safe and a lot more healthier. So it's a lot of things to consider. I mean, no country is going to be perfect. I don't care where you go. And like she was saying, no matter where you go, you're always going to be considered a black woman, no matter what. But it's the fact that people in other countries are more accepting from what she's been saying. So, you know, this is something that we may have to kind of look at and kind of gauge, you know, and say, you know what, maybe we have some more options than what we think, you know. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and get on with how Trump supporters are feeling right now as far as what he's been doing so far in these last 5 months of being in the White House.
Had Trump said everything he said in 2016 plus, and we're going to tackle entitlement reform and turn Medicare into a voucher system, he would have lost. Trump conceded a lot of the social welfare argument. He's still conceding in this debate. He conceded more of it in 2024 because Trump ran on repealing Obamacare in 2016. He did not run on it in 2024. It is not, Republicans have a majority. They could do it in reconciliation. They're not doing it. They're even nervous about tackling expanded Medicaid, which has been one of the more successful parts of ACA expansion. I mean, the states that, after the Supreme Court decision made it optional, the states that have taken it, it's been very hard for them to roll it back. And Trump has conceded trillions of dollars generationally of social welfare spending while running. And we didn't even talk about tariffs. This was not a Mitt Romney position. This is a Trump position. It has not been as complicated for Democrats as maybe they would have feared because of the rollout of tariffs. But you saw this, and I've seen this in your focus group. It does make intuitive sense to a lot of people that the president can use his power to protect their jobs and bring factories back home by taxing foreign goods. And Democrats in their new coalition, that has a lot more people who don't rely on manual labor factories, etc.
How do you make that Japanese recipe with pink salt that celebrities are using to lose weight? I swear, if one more person asks me that, it's going to...
There is a glibness, I think, into how they respond that's different than they would have talked 20 years ago when they had a more labor-focused party. They're like, even right now, talking about how they're obsessed with this discussion of how Trump said you're going to get less cheap stuff from China. And I saw J.D. Vance demo this in Ohio when he was running in 2022. This Republican argument that we've been flooded with cheap goods from around the world and we need to stop it, that's something that Democrats were comfortable saying in the 90s, a little bit less in the 80s, certainly, and they're less comfortable now. Republicans are more comfortable. They did. That is space on the left that they're occupying. And that's another thing Democrats need to figure out. It was there. If you look at one of the arguments Joe Biden made in 2020 was protectionist. It was that I will take on China. Trump's been ineffective at doing it, which was compelling to people. You know, Trump had taken Xi Jinping's word on COVID, but also Trump's trade war with China didn't turn around that much. COVID happened before they cut some sort of big trade deal. Biden tried to outflank him on that issue. And in office, Trump is doing a lot more showily on trade than any Democratic president has done. I don't know what the long-term impact of it is. The short-term impact is it's Democrats are not quite sure how to talk about it except point to the stock market and say that the stocks are down, which they're not right now. I mean, I was at one Democratic House press conference a couple weeks ago where they were referring to how much value had been lost in the stock market this year. And one, I thought, well, they're wrong now because this was after a bunch of corrections. Two, that's not the traditional Democratic message is let's do what's good for shareholders.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I do think they're right to go on offense around economic anxiety because regardless of where the market is now versus where it was, like, the fluctuations, and you hear this in the groups, has caused people a lot of anxiety, and people are very anxious about the tariffs. And obviously that's not true across everybody. There's a big part of MAGA voters who I listen to all the time say, we're going to have to take some pain, and this is what it's going to take to bring manufacturing back. And and they, or we need this to pay off the debt. They offer a range, actually, an inconsistent range of reasons why tariffs might be good. But that's just essentially them being like, I believe in Trump. I want to do something. I think we should take some big swings. But there's another group that's basically is like, ooh, I'm scared about the tariffs. And you heard that here. And more than anything, I now feel very uncertain. And absolutely number one is, and prices are not going down like he promised, which I think is if there's nothing else here for Democrats, I mean, I would not look at the stocks because that's going to be day to day. I would say, is your grocery bill lower like Trump said it would be? Because those voters know that it isn't.
Mm-hmm. No.
And she's right. That's, of course, the guy on the left is Republican, so he's going to look at it from a stock market perspective. But she's right. The stock market is up and down. So right now, it may be doing a little bit better than when he first took office. However, from day to day, it goes up and down, and sometimes it goes way down. So we can't even really count on the stock market. Like she was saying just a few minutes ago, is that grocery bill cheaper at the end of the day? When you go to the grocery store, do you see a major difference? In fact, we showed you about 2 weeks ago, a guy had did a test run and he got the exact same items, and come to find out it is about 3% higher than where they started back in January. So, you have to look at other economic factors. I mean, the stock market is one, but gas is another, housing is another, food is another. And so if the other stuff is still not in line, that's what most people are looking at. Of course, shareholders are going to look at the stock market because they want to make money. They don't want to lose money. So, I get it from that standpoint, but the everyday American citizen is looking at how much can I afford? And that's what we're going to be looking at. So, but anyway, the last thing we're going to talk about tonight is, again, David Pakman. Yes, he decides he wants to leave America too. And for whatever reason, I think he's had enough too. He was diehard. He's a liberal, He just doesn't want to be here anymore. So we're going to listen in on his explanation as far as why he feels like he can no longer be in this country.
Empower.
So handsome.
I can't buy this.
Whoa. You're empowered and
I am going to tell you something today that I never thought I would say on this show. I have now been warned multiple times by immigration lawyers that I should not leave the country at this time. Let me explain. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. Many people maybe don't know that. I've been a citizen of the United States since I was, 16 or so years old. So went through the entire process legally. My family moved to the United States legally, obtained permanent residency. Ultimately, my parents got citizenship as an under 18 son of naturalized citizens. I was able to get citizenship by going to the post office and filling out a passport application. And then that was decades ago. And here I am in 2025 being told that even with my citizenship, it might be risky to travel internationally under this second Trump administration because of what might happen when I get back. Now, I'm not going to pretend, I might be deported. They're going to rip up my passport. It's not about that. But the idea is that coming back might be unpredictably uncomfortable or uncomfortably unpredictable, because we've already seen reports of U.S. citizens detained at the border. We've seen U.S. citizens held and questioned for hours with
U.S. citizens being held at the border. So now we can't even get back in our own country. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ed. Let's go.
without even being told why. We've seen a spike in the stories from folks who are dual nationals or have names that look or sound foreign, or maybe they speak with an accent. Stories of those folks being pulled aside, treated like suspects, at their own country's border. And what immigration attorneys are telling me, the ones that are paying attention, is that naturalized citizens, people like me, in Trump's second term, with the return of these Stephen Miller-style policies, we just need to be careful. Some are saying, if you leave, have legal representation lined up. Know exactly which immigration lawyer you will call, and that they will be available to take your call in case you end up in one of these situations. Think of it. Legal representation to re-enter a country you are a citizen of. Now, what is the goal here? I don't believe that it is to actually deport U.S. citizens. Not yet, anyway, even though Trump is talking about it. What they want is fear. Intimidation is the goal. Give these folks, people like me, the feeling that we don't quite belong, even if we've done everything right. It's about making us feel like a problem, like foreigners, like we're on probation in a country that we call home. This is a hallmark of authoritarian systems. This is how they behave. You don't need to prosecute everybody. You need just enough horror stories that people start to self-censor and self-isolate and start to say things like, maybe I shouldn't go to that protest. Maybe I won't apply for this job or that government benefit. Maybe I won't leave the country for a while. And if you think I'm exaggerating, ask yourself, would you have believed if I had told you in 2015 that a US president would start floating the idea of deporting citizens or stripping citizenship from naturalized folks depending on how they obtain that citizenship? I think 10 years ago you would have said, David, that's crazy, it's never going to happen. Because Trump has said exactly that. His administration has tried launching a task force to re-examine the naturalization records of some to see if they're eligible for citizenship revocation, if they can find some technical inaccuracy in any of the paperwork originally submitted. They've floated ideas like mass deportations, and they're starting to actually do it.
And that's true. That's the thing. He's thinking about deporting people like myself, natural born citizens, born here, raised here. I've been here for 46 years with no problem. I guess now, after 46 years, they're going to say, well, you know what? You don't look like an American citizen now, and we're going to have to deport you back to Africa or wherever your native land is. This is just bogus. Like he said, they're just trying to raise more and more fear. He's a white man saying this. Okay. So, I mean, why now? Okay. And if that's the case, then, I don't know if people realize, but his wife, Melania, who's an immigrant, is she going to be deported too? I mean, because this is what I'm talking about. See, it only goes above them. They don't see themselves on the same playing field as everybody else. Okay. They want to instill fear. They want to make it seem like it's just us against them, right? And so this guy was thinking about leaving, but now he's thinking, well, dang, what if I have to come back to the States? Am I going to be detained at my own border? Like, I'm from the United States and I can't even get back in my own country. So, hey, that is something to think about, because if a natural born citizen is having problems getting back into the country, with all the documentation, with all the medical records, with all the birth records, with all the property records, with all the ID that you can think of, and you're still being detained, what does that say? Like I say, they're just trying to make this more and more about us against them. Okay, so, but anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on this tonight, because you see, black and white people are thinking about leaving this country altogether. They're like, we can't do this. I'd rather just leave, go, and come back after 3.5 more years of this. And once he's out of the chair, we might consider coming back. But right now, no. I've got to pack my bags and go right now. So, and you know what? I can't blame them. Because I would rather be happy too. You know, if it means my sanity and my living, you know, arrangements is going to be better somewhere else, then hey, by all means, you know. So, but anyway, guys, I just wanted to tackle that for tonight. I will be back, not tomorrow night, but on Saturday. We are going to do a revamp with the sports section because the last 2 Fridays, we had a little bit of a technical issue trying to get the sports feed to come through because I'm trying to get a good quality system to hit the video so that all the sports feeds will be really nice, clean cut. So that's one thing that we're working on, and that's one of the reasons why you haven't seen a lot of the sports the last 2 Fridays. So this Saturday, we're going to test it out. I'm probably going to go live Saturday just to see how it does. And if it doesn't work, then what we'll do is we're going to revamp the sports channel, and we may have a separate channel for just strictly sports because I think we may be leaning toward that. Come July, this channel is going to do a revamp anyway. So we're getting some new things that's going to be put in place that's going to be better for our subscribers. And I think you're going to enjoy it a whole lot better. I promise. Okay. But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. If you enjoyed the content, please hit like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you can, please hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any episodes every time I come on to YouTube. Okay? All right, so catch me on Saturday. I'm going to go live at 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. live. We're going to test out this sports thing. And then once that's over, I'm going to let you know how I feel about it. But again, we're going to do a revamp on the sports section so that things will be a lot more crystal clear and the quality of the videos are going to be a whole lot better. So I think you'll definitely enjoy once you see the new outtake of the sports. Okay? All right, guys. So if everybody is good, I hope everybody have a great rest of your night. And I will see y'all back at 2 p.m. on Saturday. Y'all take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.